Hello everyone, my name is Hao Zheng. I'm currently a PhD student in the University of Pennsylvania School of Design. My research topic is mainly about machine learning and its application in architectural design. I'm glad here to present our paper, Machine Learning Neural Networks Construction and Analysis in Vectorized Design Drawings, in cooperation with Hao Zheng from University College London. The name machine learning was first introduced by Samuel in 1959 to represent a computational learning theory in artificial intelligence. The concept of machine learning, a computational model for neural networks, was first invented by McCullough Pitts in 1943 based on set-hole logic. According to the model, the activation status 0, 1 of neuron in the current layer is calculated through that in the previous layer, based on the logic operation rules. Then, robots in 1974 developed a method called backpropagation to accelerate the training of multi-layer networks, which feeds the error term back to the network to modify the parameters in each neuron. By computing the gradient of the loss function between the ground truth value and the predicted value, such as mean square error, the parameters in the hidden layers will be updated and gradually approach the optimal values. The weights of each neuron in the network will finally reach a condition that the total error value is minimized. The neural structure and the backpropagation algorithm together form the basic unit of machine learning network, which further inspired the development of recurrent neural networks, repeatedly applying the basic unit to proceed sequential data, and convolutional neural networks, extending the dimension of the basic unit to proceed the metric data. So, how can we use neural networks to solve architectural problems? We firstly designed three example tests to see whether the neural networks can learn and generate geometric data. In the first case, a sample neural network was built to predict the inscribed circle by inputting a rectangle. The inputted rectangle is represented by the coordinates of its two vertices. Using the same rule, its inscribed circle is represented by the coordinates of the center point and the radius. Therefore, the first layer of the neural network should contain the 4 neurons, and the last layer should contain 3 neurons. This is a very simple problem, so there's no need to add any hidden layers to complicate the network. A network without hidden layers should perform better to avoid the overfitting problem. After training with a dataset of 3,000 pairs of rectangles and circles, which only took 2 seconds to loop 5,000 times without GPU support, the network performed nicely to predict the values. This case demonstrates that rather than directly applying complex neural networks to the problem, analyzing and referring the possible mathematical solution is very important for simplifying the networks and improving its efficiency. Next, a network to predict the cubic SP-line interpolation by inputting 3 control points was built. To simplify the problem, SP-line is divided into 25 points, which approximately represent the curve. Therefore, the first layer of the network should be the coordinates of the 3 control points with 6 input neurons, while the last layer should be the coordinates of the 25 divided points with 50 output neurons. We decided to add the hidden layers to use sigmoid function as the activation function because this geometric problem is more complicated than the previous case. After training, the neural networks reached a very high accuracy. This case demonstrates that the setting in the network, such as the activation function and the loss function, can also be considered and customized to optimize the networks. Other than directly creating simple geometry data like inscribed circle or SP-line interpolation, the third case shows a pattern design that for a given boundary, rectangles with fixed side lengths should be fitted into the boundary as many as possible, but a gap with a length of 0.01 unit should remain between rectangles. We designed a specific data structure for this case. We regarded the maximum number of the rectangles to be 10 times 10. Thus, the output layer with 200 neurons was constructed in the network. In order to represent a maximum of 100 center points. Other than assigning the coordinates of the existing point to the neurons, the values of the rest neurons will be -1 to indicate the invalid points. Thus, only the neurons for the rectangles in the same row or column will share the same parameters, and the invalid value -1 will not influence the training process. Therefore, we can see from this case, with suitable network frame, data structure, activation function, or loss function, as long as there is data, the design has the potential to be learned or predicted through machine learning. So next, what's the possible application of constructing neural networks in design? Previously, we applied a generative adversarial network, GAN, to train or predict architectural image data in pairs, from the color label to the plan drawings. However, there are still blurry or unclear errors, and the furniture is not recognizable as it should be. What's more, the biggest limitation of this kind of image-based neural network, for example CNN, is that it regards design data as pixelized images. So the precision is limited, and it depends on the number of pixels in the image. However, we also proposed a method in the previous paper to visualize the parameters in the network. The convolutional layers in CNN actually work to detect the boundary information from the original image, and then combine features together into a neural network for calculation. But in fact, CNN firstly translates image data into vector-like data by creating continuous white or black pixels, then link the pixel data to basic neural network for outputting a single value. Thus, it's obviously unnecessary to train CNN if vectorized data already exists in CAD files in most of the architectural design cases. So in this paper, we trained a vector-based neural network to learn or generate the interior design of apartment floor plan. First, the elements in the bedroom design was marked as 6 types: red for bedroom boundary, cream for door, purple for window, blue for bed, green for bedstand, and orange for TV set. Every mark is a rectangle representing a specific area. To prepare the data for training, the geometries were then moved to the original point based on the left-down vertex of the bedroom boundary. So the bedroom boundary can be represented as x1, y1. Then for the door and the window, x2, y2, and x3, y3 represent their center points, while r21, r22, r31, and r32 represent their side lengths. Therefore, the input layer should contain 10 neurons. For the output layer, we use the same rule to record the rectangles as the center points and side lengths. In addition, a variable e is introduced as a first neuron, which represents the possibility that the rectangle below exists or not. Last, if the testing result shows an e value smaller than 0.5, we can assume that there should not be an item that will ignore the values in the following 4 neurons. Therefore, the output layer should contain 20 neurons. This figure shows the neural network structure, activation function, and loss function in this case. This figure shows the selective generation results after training: blue for ground truth and red for generation. To be specific, in the case in number 152, 164, and 167, while the predicted positions of the bedsteads are highly similar to the ground truth design, the network generated additional TV set, which does not appear in the ground truth design, but is reasonable. As for the bed and the bedstands, in the case of number 157, rather than generating 2 bedstands, the network prefers to output a larger bed without bedstands. Also, in the case of number 163, the bedstand disappeared from the ground truth data to the generated data, which might be caused by the short side length of the room. Further, the position of the bed and the bedstands are closer to the center axis. For example, in a situation for the TV set, especially in the case of number 161, there is a huge shift between the ground truth data and the generated data. However, the generated results are more reasonable. This figure shows the comparison of the results between the image-based network and our vector-based network. For the upper bedroom, both two networks generated two basebands, which is different from the original design. However, for the lower bedroom, the image-based network outputted a noise image, while our vector-based network feedback a rectangle showing the position and size of the bed. This demonstrates the stability of our vector-based network. So in conclusion, machine learning is a powerful tool for processing design data, especially for architectural design drawings. Learning or predicting architectural drawings as recognized data is more efficient and accurate than learned as image data. In the future, the tendency of design cooperation between humans and machines will become clearer. Design by machine has the potential to exceed the human ability. Therefore, the following research of this paper is to develop specific neural networks to deal with different types of design tasks and finally build a master designer by the machine. So that's it. Thank you for listening.